7 men's stories, exciting entertainment.
The Miracle of Juliane Koepcke, Alone in the Amazon Jungle. It's Survive Weekend, and here is her story. Imagine being 17 years old, flying high above the dense Amazon rainforest, when suddenly disaster strikes. Your plane is hit by lightning, you plummet from over 10,000 feet, and you find yourself the sole survivor, stranded in the middle of the jungle. This is the incredible true story of Juliane Koepcke, a young woman who defied the odds and survived one of the most harrowing experiences imaginable, spending 11 days alone in the Amazon before finally being rescued. Lanza, Flight 510, a flight into danger. On December 24, 1971, Juliane Koepcke and her mother Maria boarded Lanza Flight 510 from Lima, Peru, to the city of Pucallpa. Juliane, the daughter of German biologists, had just completed her studies in Lima and was eager to join her father at their research station in the Peruvian jungle for the Christmas holiday. As they flew over the vast expanse of the Amazon rainforest, the plane entered a severe thunderstorm. Lightning flashed, and turbulence rocked the aircraft violently. Without warning, a lightning bolt struck the plane, hitting one of the fuel tanks and causing an explosion. The plane lost control and began to break apart mid-air. Juliane, still strapped into her seat, was thrown from the aircraft. In an instant, she found herself falling, thousands of feet above the jungle, surrounded by debris. A miraculous survival against all odds, Juliane survived the fall. It is believed that the thick foliage of the jungle canopy helped to cushion her descent, and the seatbelt she wore may have slowed her fall enough to save her life. When she regained consciousness, she was lying on the jungle floor, alone. Juliane had a broken collarbone, deep cuts on her legs, and a severe concussion. One of her eyes was swollen shut, and she was in shock from the crash. Despite her injuries, Juliane knew she had to move. Her parents had taught her basic survival skills for the rainforest, knowing the dangers that lay within its depths. She remembered her father's advice. If you are ever lost, find a stream and follow it. It will lead you to people. The fight for survival. Summoning all her strength, Juliane decided she had to find water. She knew she needed to keep her wounds clean and stay hydrated to have any chance of survival. Slowly and painfully, she began to make her way through the thick underbrush. She was barefoot, with only the clothes she had been wearing on the flight. As days passed, Juliane found a small stream. She followed it, hoping it would lead her to safety. By now, her wounds were infected, and her situation was becoming increasingly desperate. She was exhausted, hungry, and covered in insect bites. Flies were attracted to the open cuts on her arms and legs, laying eggs that hatched into maggots. Juliane knew she needed to keep moving if she wanted to survive. She waded through the stream, taking small sips of water and eating what little she could find, small fruits, and anything edible the forest offered. Rescue at last. After 11 grueling days, Juliane stumbled upon a small hut in a clearing by the river bank. The hut was used by local woodcutters. Too weak to call out, Juliane waited. Eventually, 3 men returned to the hut. They could hardly believe their eyes when they saw the injured and dirty teenage girl who told them her unbelievable story. The men treated Juliane's wounds as best they could and cared for her overnight. The following day, they took her by boat down the river to a nearby village. From there, Juliane was flown to a hospital in Pucallpa, where doctors treated her injuries and infections. Not only had Juliane survived the horrific crash and the days in the jungle, but she also endured the heartbreak of learning that her mother, along with 90 other passengers and crew, had died in the crash. Life after the jungle. Juliane Koepcke's story is one of the most remarkable survival tales of all time. She went on to study biology, following in her parents' footsteps, and became a renowned zoologist. Her experience has been documented in books, documentaries, and her own memoir, where she shares her account of survival and resilience. The Crash of Lanza. Flight 510 has become a symbol of incredible human endurance and the will to survive against all odds. Juliane Koepcke's story continues to inspire people around the world, reminding us all of the strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable challenges.
Feel free to follow this channel to avoid missing any new content. Disclaimer: the images are AI generated and are for illustration purposes. The stories on this channel are researched to the best of our knowledge.